In a city that hums with millions of stories, two were unfolding in parallel, just a few streets apart. His world was a canvas of muted colors, a quiet apartment where the silence was louder than the traffic outside. He walked through crowds, feeling like a ghost, a spectator to a life he couldn't quite touch. Her world was a kaleidoscope of smiling faces and cheerful chatter. Yet inside, she felt like a forgotten book on a crowded shelf, its pages filled with words no one had ever bothered to read. Both felt the same ache of loneliness, a quiet whisper that true connection, the kind you read about in novels, was a myth, a beautiful lie meant for someone else. Then came a night when the sky wept, washing the city streets in a glossy sheen of rain and neon. He stepped into a small, quiet bookstore, seeking refuge from the storm and his own thoughts. The air inside smelled of old paper and rain-soaked coats. As he ran his fingers along the spines of worn classics, he felt a presence beside him. It was her. She had come in for the same reason, drawn by the promise of warmth and solitude. Their eyes met for a fleeting second, a spark in the dimly lit aisle. It was awkward, a moment stretched thin by unspoken questions. A shy smile from her, a nervous glance away from him. They said nothing, but in that shared silence, surrounded by the stories of others, their own story quietly began. Neither of them knew it, but a thread, invisible and delicate, had just been tied. Fate, it seems, enjoys a good story. After that rainy night, the universe began to conspire, weaving their paths together with a playful insistence. He'd look up from his book on the morning bus, and there she would be, staring out the window, lost in thought. She'd be searching for a quiet corner in the grand city library, and he would be sitting at the exact table she was heading towards. A late-night craving for noodles would lead them to the same small, steaming stall, sharing a counter under a single flickering lantern. They started recognizing each other's presence with a small nod, then a hesitant smile. The city, once vast and anonymous, began to feel smaller, cozier, as if it were shrinking just for them. These chance encounters felt like cosmic breadcrumbs, leading them somewhere they didn't yet know they needed to go. The smile soon turned into words. It started with a simple hello over a shared library table, which blossomed into a conversation that lasted until closing time. They discovered they both loved the melancholy beauty of rainy days, the taste of honey in their tea, and the feeling of getting lost in a good song. They started meeting on purpose, their walks through the city becoming a ritual. In the hushed quiet of a park at dusk, she told him about her childhood dreams of being an astronomer, and he shared his fear of never creating something truly meaningful. They were two halves of a secret finally spoken aloud. They held each other's vulnerabilities with a tenderness neither had ever known. In each other, they found a safe harbor, a place where their truest selves could finally breathe. The loneliness that had long defined them began to dissolve, replaced by a warmth that felt like coming home. But life, with its impeccable timing, often tests the connections we cherish most. Just as their world began to feel whole, a shadow fell. He received a job offer, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in a city 1,000 miles away. It was everything he had worked for, a validation of his talent, but the thought of leaving felt like tearing a part of himself away. Pause. Around the same time, the ghosts of her past reappeared. Pause. A painful breakup had left deep scars, and the pressure from her family to follow a more conventional path grew heavier each day. Pause. Doubt, like a persistent fog, began to creep in. Pause. Was this connection too good to be true? Pause. Was it just a temporary escape from their separate realities? Pause. The easy flow of their conversations became strained. Pause. Important words were swallowed, replaced by silences that were no longer comfortable but heavy with unspoken fears and insecurities. Pause. The distance between them grew, not in miles, but in the space between their words. Pause. The job offer loomed over him, a choice between his future and his heart. Pause. Her past insecurities made her pull away, building walls to protect a heart that had already been broken once. Pause. A misunderstanding over a casual remark, a missed call that was never returned, small cracks that began to fracture the beautiful thing they were building. Pause. The decision to part ways was never made explicitly. Pause. It was a slow, painful drift, like two ships passing in the night, each thinking the other had changed course. Pause. The city felt vast and empty once more. Pause. The bookstore, the library, the noodle stall, they were no longer places of magic but painful reminders of what was lost. Pause. Time began to pass, layering new days over the old memories, trying to heal a wound they both pretended wasn't there. Pause. They tried to move on, to date other people, to fill the silence, but every new face was just a reminder of the one they missed. Pause. Nothing felt the same. Pause. Months turned into a year. Pause. He took the job, and she tried to please her family. Pause. They lived their separate lives, their shared moments relegated to the realm of bittersweet memory. Pause. But some stories aren't meant to end in the middle. Pause. One evening, driving home from a long day at work, he heard a song on the radio. Pause. It was the same obscure indie track she had shared with him one night, calling it their song. Pause. The melody unlocked a flood of memories, her laugh, the way her eyes lit up, the feeling of her hand in his. Pause. It was a physical ache, a profound sense of loss. Pause. At that exact moment, hundreds of miles away, she was cleaning out an old desk drawer and found a photograph they had taken in a photo booth, a strip of 4 silly faces, a tangible piece of a joy that felt like a lifetime ago. Pause. A single tear fell onto the glossy paper. Pause. The universe was whispering again, nudging them, reminding them that their story wasn't over. Pause. The pull was undeniable. Pause. He booked a flight back to the city, not with a grand plan, but with a simple, desperate need to see if the magic was still there. Pause. He didn't know where to find her or even what he would say if he did. Pause. He just walked, letting his feet carry him through the familiar streets, until he found himself standing in front of the small bookstore where it all began. Pause. The bell above the door chimed the same soft sound from that first rainy night. Pause. And there she was, standing in the very same aisle, her fingers tracing the spines of books as if no time had passed at all. Pause. She looked up, and the world stopped. Pause. The awkwardness was gone, replaced by a wave of recognition so powerful it left them both breathless. Pause. This time, there was no silence. Pause. The words they had held back for so long came pouring out. Pause. He told her how he had regretted leaving every single day, how no success felt meaningful without her. Pause. She told him how she had been afraid, how she had let her past dictate her future, and how empty her world had been since he left. Pause. They talked about their fears, their mistakes, and the love that had never faded, a quiet flame that had survived the storm. Pause. In the gentle light of the bookstore, surrounded by a million other stories, they finally gave theirs the ending it deserved. Pause. They didn't know what the future held, but they knew they would face it together. Pause. Their hands found each other, a simple touch that sealed a promise. Pause. It was a new beginning, earned through heartache and hope, a love story that was finally beautifully complete. Pause.